Hey guys, Jerry Schreck from VarietyTrainer.com. I recently got a question about military pressing and in regards to the shoulder and positioning and a couple of different, actually there's a multitude of different questions about military pressing. So let's go over military pressing briefly and then I'll explain kind of how I implement the military press in our workouts. Military pressing, simply put, is pressing weight above your head, either in a seated or standing position typically. I'm not a big fan of seated military press. I just have never really done it. I much prefer our athletes standing. We're ground-based, we're going to stand, we're going to do military presses standing and position. If we're doing any type of standing movement, I always talk about my athletes getting in their good position, feet shoulder width is slightly wider, a little bend in the knees, a little bend in the hips. That takes a lot of tension off of our low back, then actually it gets our core all the way, can transfer down our hips nice and neat versus being stiff-legged like this, because that rotates the pelvis and put a little bit more of a lordotic curve on our spine, which we don't want. Okay, so we'll hold there. Now, military pressing gets a bad rep by a lot of people, and I actually know strength coaches that don't do any military pressing with their athletes, and I think that's a shame, but to each is their own. My opinion, I actually like the military press, and I do the military press with my athletes, but I don't let them put the elbows out in a wide position when we do the press, and I think that's where a lot of the research has shown and stuff that's bad, could potentially be bad for the shoulders, with impingement syndromes, and let's not get into too much of that, but one of the questions I had was, the question was given to me, is pressing behind the neck up a good idea? No, I don't like that positioning at all due to the fact of where the elbows are positioned. So when I do a military press, when I'm talking about a barbell, what I do is I usually keep my athletes with a little narrower than wider grip. So we're going to bring our grip in here, so we're a little narrower in this position. And when we bring a little narrower grip, that puts the elbows a little more forward, okay? So my elbows are actually in front of my shoulders versus being out here either to the side or even a little bit behind my shoulders, which I don't want. Because when we do that, that's where you get that little bit of impingement in the shoulder with the rotator cuff. So let's bring the elbows in here a little bit. And we press. I don't want to use my legs because it is a military press. We're trying to focus on the shoulders a little bit more and then the arms will finish it out, keeping our core engaged the entire time. So when I press, I want to press straight up, and as soon as I clear my head, I'm going to actually push the bar back over my head and some, so that if I was looking at my ears, I want that barbell pretty much right about over my ears, or maybe even a little bit behind my ears. Okay, we're not doing an Olympic lift here, and I'm not throwing my legs, I'm just pressing in control and bring it back down. Now, one of the big things that a lot of people do wrong when they military press, and I see this all the time, even if they got the narrower grip and they got the elbows in, when they do it, they'll press and they'll look at the weight. They'll look at the weight. And if they're looking at the weight, that's going to put a curve. That puts a lot of stress right here. It gives you more of a lordotic curve in the low back. We don't want that. We don't want that. We actually want to keep good form technique. So we're pressing in this position without this hyperextension on our low back. So keeping your head neutral, keeping it looking forward. When you press that bar up, it comes over your head, you shouldn't be able to see the barbell. Okay? And we bring it back down, you bring it right down in front of the head. So if I have my bar, okay, I will do my press. I'm going to press it up, hands, wrist straight, and I'm going to bring it right back down. When I bring it down, it's coming down in front of my face, right to the front of my chest, press it up. Okay? When I do it that way, I really don't feel like I'm having any implications or any detrimental features to my shoulder joints. I actually feel like my shoulders are getting stronger. So there's a lot of debate out there about that, but that's how I teach the military press with my athletes here at the university, and we do a lot of military pressing. I know a lot, like I said, a lot of the strength coaches think that's taboo nowadays and don't do it. Now, the other things we do a lot of dumbbell and kettlebell military pressing, and there's a lot of views on that on both sides. So I'm going to So it wasn't the bench press back then, like it is nowadays. So, or the squat. The squatting's great, but you guys know my view on squats. I love them. But with the military press, definitely, I think it's a great exercise if done correctly. Big key points, you keep the elbows in a little bit more. When you clear your head, then you can push it back. We don't start from behind. It's always in front of the face. Okay? And it's always in a controlled position, controlled manner. If you get to the point where you're doing this and struggling, you start loading your back, that's when you should stop. Your reps are done there. And you can stop there, re-rack your weight, and take a break. So I hope that helps answer your questions about positioning for the military press and that little discussion about behind the neck pressing. So hope that helps, guys. It's Jerry Schreck from VarietyTraining.com.